think that it's over until this man, Fred Whitfield, gets ready to rope. The National Falls Rodeo has the pride of watching him tie some of the fastest calves in the world in this arena. Every major rodeo arena in the world is considered the same. The Fred Whitfield, the champion.
First African-American to win that tonight, Mr. Fred Whitfield from Huntley, Texas.
But ladies and gentlemen, when you watch this event, the man to watch is The Rock, named Fred Whitfield.
I want to start first with, I've known you and respected you for a long time. You probably didn't know that I was sitting right behind the calf roping box when you were doing all of that in the early years there. And right from the start, you know, kind of a fan of yours there. You had such command, I guess, of the arena then, and what you did, how you the champion that you were out there, and of course, and probably some people have asked you this question a lot of times, but you know, when you started raising the roof, everyone looked forward to it. That, I think, made that arena very electric.
Well, honestly, that came about, me and some friends were jacking around one time and said, we got to do something in Las Vegas to kind of incite the crowd. They're really behind you whenever you back in there, and you know, you go and rope and make good runs, and so I just, how about raising the roof maybe? You know, and I think it'd been done before at football games or something. There's a few guys that done it in the past, and so I did it, I think, for the first time in probably 1994, maybe, was the first time I did it out here, and the crowd just went crazy, and then it just caught fire. And, you know, I'd be walking around the Thomas and Mack or walking around the convention center, and everybody'd be going, hey, Fred, raise the roof. Are you going to raise the roof tonight? And so it pretty much caught on, so I had to go with it.
You did have to go with it. And you've written a pretty cool book. I just ordered it. It took a little while to get to my house, so I haven't read it all. And my husband goes, I had his book. I got it when it first came out. I said, oh, you did? And he goes, I said, we read it. How did you like it? And he goes, I liked it. He had lots of stories of things that he went through. And I just want to bring that up because you did write that. What about that book? You know, if somebody hadn't read it, or somebody that's looking for your life and what that gold buckle means, what do they need, or what can they learn from it?
It's very inspirational, and it tells the backstory of where I really came from. And you know, I wanted everybody to know exactly where Fred Whitfield came from. Came from a broken home. Dad done time in prison, all that stuff, and it's all in that book. And I wanted people to know that you could come from the bottom of the earth and rise to the top. And it has to do with work ethic, being honest, and people believing in you and supporting you and wanting you to do good. That's what it was all about.
In a nutshell, and being inspirational. And obviously it made an impression on him because he mentioned that as well. So I'm going to ask you kind of a personal question going way back. Do you remember a calf roper by the name of Sean McMullen?
I do. I remember Sean very well.
I'm going to ask you a personal question about him because I met him at the college finals in Bozeman, and just kind of an interesting kid. And he and I got to be really good friends. And he was actually the first person that I really even endorsed. And when you say about for NFR, he wore everything that I could put on, and actually put a patch on him the first time and put it on a shirt at the NFR. We probably just did it, you know. But from your perspective, just because I'm curious, you know, I didn't know him that well, but can you share a little bit about him?
Sean was a stand-up guy.
Was he?
And I'm talking about none ever better. That guy was a pool shark. He loved to hunt. He was probably one of the best calf ropers in the world at the time that he had his accident. And, you know, I know a lot of people probably don't know this part of that story, but we were actually out that night together.
Oh, you were?
And we left Canby, Oregon, headed to somewhere just right south of Pendleton there. It'd be to the straight south of Pendleton. And so I had a driver at the time. I was going through some other stuff, and so I had bodyguards and all that stuff. And so they left before we left from where we were at. And so we were driving along there, and I went to sleep. And my drivers were driving the truck, and I woke up, it was getting daylight. We left the place where we were about 2 o'clock in the morning, and so we'd been, not very far, hour and a half, 2 hours, and so we'd been setting for quite a while. And my driver woke me up, and he said, "Man, Strand just come walking back here, and he's got blood all over his shirt." And I said, "What the hell's going on?" Well, whenever they stopped us, they said some hay haulers had a wreck in front of us. And it was actually Sean McMullen. There was a wrong way driver coming up 84 and hit him head on.
I'm sorry, I didn't know all that, but it's just amazing how the people we meet can make such an impression on your life, and you never forget about it.
Well, and like I said, I've told the story before. I rodeoed with a lot of guys, and I mean, he was at the top of the list. And I mean, I'd go out to their ranch at REN and stay with them, and we'd go rabbit hunting, we'd go fishing, we'd go coyote hunting. We just done everything. And I mean, Sean had a lot of good friends, and he made a really big impression on a lot of people's lives. There's no doubt about it.
That's cool. That warms my heart. So I wrote on here, sometimes you think about your heroes or whatever out there, and I always go, good is good. I don't care if you're in a basketball game or something else. When somebody goes out there and really does it,
yes, ma'am.
I'm going to be standing up and cheering. Can you tell me, like, somebody in your life that you say, man, that's good, and you cheered for them like that?
Well, I mean, I've had several. Of course, Roy Cooper was probably one of my mentors early on. Roy Moffitt is the guy that's the company that I work for today. And I mean, he took me in almost like a father figure. And whenever I got done rodeoing, it was an interesting story. And so I actually started out driving a truck for that company. I was riding horses and doing the stuff that cowboys typically do once their career's over. And so I got talking to my wife one day, and we had a nice place there in Hockley, and it was all paid for. Everything was good. We had money in a retirement account. And so I was just kind of broke dicking around, for lack of a better word. And so I was riding some outside horses, doing this, doing that. And I would call up to our investment company, and I would say, hey, send me $30,000, Well, they're going to tax you on this money. I don't give a shit. It took me all these years to save it. I'm going to use it. Next thing you know, we were getting more money, and I woke up one day, and I had quite a bit of money saved up from a 25-year rodeo career, luckily for me, and from sponsors and stuff. And so I said, we're going to wake up one of these days, and we're going to be broke. And I said, so it's time for you to find something to do for a living other than riding outside horses, because, I mean, it just doesn't pay, It pays good, but it's not a steady income. And so I took that job driving. I did that for about a year and a half. And he said, man, there's no future in driving this truck. He said, why don't I put you with one of my best salesmen for the company? And it's been 5 years in sales. And I'm not going to say I'm top 3, but I'm probably top 5 at the company right now. And I mean, it was the best decision I've ever made in my life.
So that sounds to me like a great seed to pass on to other people to really make a plan for your future and work towards that in a different way than maybe you would assumed.
Well, and I mean, I learned some valuable lessons because I watched a lot of the top guys, and a lot of people don't like to talk about this, but it's just a fact of life. There's a lot of people that's left the sport with absolutely nothing. And I quit when I was still in my prime, I felt like, 2014, 2015, but I didn't actually qualify for the NFR that year, and it had cost me money to rodeo. And I'm sitting here looking at my wife. I said, we can continue to rodeo, but I'm gonna have to buy a new truck. I need to upgrade our horses. There was 4 or 5 different factors that was gonna cost a couple of $100,000 to do.
So you had to do what you had to do.
Yeah, I said, man, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, you're an 8-time world champion. There's nothing else left to prove in the sport. It's time to move on. And if you work as hard at calf roping and all the other stuff that you did inside the sport, you're bound to have some kind of success.
So thank you for that. And I also got to say, I started following you on LinkedIn to be like, I'm hanging out there and watching what Fred's doing, and you inspire me. And sometimes I swear I'd read it and I'd go, that's really good, and I'm kind of like doing this part for you, so thank you for that. And how did you get into the gold buckle service and really marrying, being a champion in and out of the arena and using your lifestyle, using what you knew there?
We started a marketing campaign kind of with Moffitt Services, and we started coming up with just catchy ideas. And I'm really known for the sport of rodeo. And so we tried to integrate that with the company that I work for, and I mean, it's worked out well. Hell, we had close to 1.8 million views on LinkedIn last year.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's huge for.
No, it is, because you're speaking to so many people, and you never know whose hero you are.
And I mean, I went to a deal, Clays for Kids at Midland a week and a half ago, and gosh, I mean, you can't imagine the amount of people that just come up, man, I just love your LinkedIn. Oh, it's so great to see you. Finally, nice to meet you. And so, I mean, I'm kind of taking it all in, and I love the business world, but also my heart's been drawn back to roping too.
There you go. Okay, so I have what I'm going to call a lightning rapid fire round on leadership. So I'm going to throw out a word, and I want you to tell me what you think about it. Impact and dedication to the industry and Western lifestyle. How did Fred Whitfield do that?
Well, the impact is kind of what I've done in the sport. You know, brought a lot of different fans to the sport of calf roping, and I mean, to be an 8-time world champion when it's never been done, I was the first to do a lot of stuff. And I mean, we look around now. There's Shad, there's John, there's Corey Solomon.
Right.
I mean, we could go down the list. There's just a lot. It's brought a lot of African Americans to the sport of rodeo.
So that kind of speaks to an enduring legacy, kind of, in the sport, led by you. All right, now, character and integrity.
Well, character for me is I've always tried to keep my word and go through life and never do anybody wrong and always pay my debts no matter win or lose.
Historical significance of Fred Whitfield.
Historical significance. I'd have to go back to 1991 first world championship and 1999 winning the all-around.
Fabulous.
There's only one other thing that I put ahead of both those gold buckles, and that's the birth of both of my daughters. And I'm headed for a silver anniversary next year.
There you go. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure, my friend.